When Vladimir Putin brought thousands of North Korean soldiers into the war, it sounded like a game-changer move, but it's actually not. Sure, this news did rattle countries worldwide: Europe, the United States, Australia, South Korea, and especially Ukraine. On paper, the comprehensive strategic partnership between Russia and North Korea sounded like a big deal. It basically promised that if one country was attacked, the other would step in with full support. But as it turns out, this treaty isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Now, even the West is realizing what Ukraine has already figured out, that these North Korean soldiers are more of a liability than an asset. So far, North Korea has sent somewhere between 11,000 and 13,000 soldiers to Russia for a price tag of hundreds of millions of dollars. And now, Ukrainian intelligence is suggesting Pyongyang could send another 100,000 in the future. But, as I said, these soldiers aren't doing Russia any favors, because in just a few weeks of fighting in the Kursk region, over 3,000 North Koreans have been killed or wounded. And despite all that, Russia has little to show for it, aside from mountains of destroyed equipment and casualties. But Kim Jong-un just doesn't care. As long as the billions keep coming in, he's happy to send more troops. For Kim, these soldiers are expendable. He's already committing horrific atrocities against his own people, so sending thousands to Russia is just another transaction. After all, North has 1.3 million active duty personnel, which makes them one of the largest in the world, so it probably doesn't make a difference to Kim, right? Well, yes, but there's still a catch. The truth is that these North Korean soldiers aren't anywhere close to what a real military force should look like. They're physically unfit, they have zero experience in modern combat, and their tactics are as outdated as a rotary phone. Many of them haven't even fired a gun before, and those who have can barely hit their target. And from the looks of it, North Korea has sent its worst soldiers to Russia. According to reports, some of the North Korean soldiers in Russia can't even hold their rifles properly without dropping them. But honestly, you can't really blame them, because back home, these so-called soldiers usually spend more time working construction jobs than in military training. Then food shortages make things even worse. Years of malnutrition have left them physically stunted. If you compare a North Korean soldier to an American or South Korean soldier, the difference in height and build is staggering. Decades of poor nutrition have made them weaker, slower, and far less capable of handling the physical demands of war. North Koreans have lived their whole life in abject poverty. Basic amenities like running water and 24/7 electricity are unheard of. Rolling blackouts were pretty common, with most families lucky to get an hour of electricity a day, just enough to prepare dinner. Then there's the cultural shock. For some of these soldiers, being exposed to the modern world has been overwhelming. Believe it or not, many of them are reportedly obsessed with adult websites after discovering the internet. Clearly, they're not the obedient soldiers that were promised to Vladimir Putin. So what's the takeaway? Well, Kim Jong-un just played off a masterstroke. He not only pocketed billions, but also got rid of thousands of unwanted soldiers, men he probably had no use for back home. And yet, despite all of this,